We're going live. Ding, ding, come in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rocha Revolution, the Substack show with the host with the most. And today we're honored to be joined by Luis Alcauter. Luis, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Chuck.
I don't know what we did in this show to warrant such a VIP, but for those of you who don't know, Luis is my business partner. He's a managing director at Solidarity, and he's not on today because we had a last minute cancellation. He's here because we've been talking about having a strategy session for all of you who wanted to listen in. And folks were like, well, we should talk about strategy, about how we actually win these campaigns and what goes into it. And I'm like, well, we should actually probably interview somebody who does the work to actually do that and not me, because all I do is talk and run shit, talk my mouth on TV. Hey, Sean, welcome onto the room here, buddy. We talk to the person who's actually doing this. So, Luis, before we get started, I think it's really important to ground the conversation in how in the hell did you go to work for Chuck Rocha and Solidarity Strategies, this poor Mexican kid from the Central Valley of California? Tell the folks your journey from to D.C. from where you came from.
I think the short version is that I was going to college. I'm an immigrant, grew up in a state called Michoacan, Mexico, moved to California where one of my family members was living. And we arrived in Fresno, Visalia, California, where I went to school. And before I was about to graduate from studying political science, I talked to one of my professors. She was talking about these internships and all these different things. Like, hey, I'm a DACA recipient. I don't have any money. I don't have any connections. I don't know anybody in DC. Is there any way or possibilities to be able to go to DC and get an internship and get some experience? And she told me about the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. And that really changed my life. It was on Monday. The application was due on Friday. She really helped me to be able to get that application completed. And she was the one who's like, hey, if you're really serious about it, I'm going to help you with your essays. I'm going to help you with a letter of recommendation. It's like, well, if she's willing to do that for me, I'll definitely give it a try. And long story short, I got accepted. I worked for former Senator Barbara Boxer from California. I got a great experience working in her office. I met President Obama while I was at CHEI, which really opened the possibilities and the opportunity to be able to do a lot of cool things. And then I got connected with someone from Fresno who used to work for you. And I told him, hey, I went back to California. And then I got connected with a person. And I told him, hey, I'm looking for a job in DC. I would like to go back. And he's like, hey, you should meet this guy named Chuck Rocha. He's always looking for people of color. And he's building a really strong consulting firm. He's been doing it for years. Like, well, happy to connect and chat with him. And I'm here in California. You think he can make an exception? I cannot go over there just for one interview. He's like, yeah, definitely. So it was 10 years ago when I talked to you for the first time. And it's like, hey, come over. There's an opportunity for you. And you were starting to do the work for Bernie Sanders for the first time. And you brought me over. And for that, I'm always grateful for the opportunity. And ever since then, I've been here.
That's crazy. I keep forgetting that was 10 years ago, and now you run the firm. What a full circle moment. I'm curious, Luis. I've never asked you this question. You're one of my best friends. I trust you with my life. But what do you think you would have done if you hadn't have got into politics? You think you'd have been a farmer and bought some cows out in the Central Valley? What would you have done?
Definitely no. I have a love for photography, videography, graphic design. So I think that's something I would have done.
Oh, you mean open a porn studio and start taking pictures of girls, right? No. You mean going out and taking pictures of the wildlife and all the things.
But here I am.
For those of you at home who think about it, Luis didn't have any formal training. He had not worked on 15 different congressional races. He had not studied all of the things about campaigns. And now he runs the nation's largest Latino-owned political consulting firm that I started now 16 years ago. I think that says a lot about who we are and what we are, about are we qualified to do this work? What does it take to get involved? Do you have to be a political expert? Luis is literally an expert now, but he wasn't an expert when he started. Of course, I give him a chance, but Luis made his own way. He figured things out a lot like a lot of immigrants do every day in our work, whether it's filling out paperwork or insurance cards or whatever the things are, learning, reading the instructions, figuring out how to do it. He does it every day at the firm. You think I'm the one filling out paperwork at the firm? This will make him laugh. It ain't me filling out the paperwork because I don't know how to work a computer anyway. Luis, I want to jump forward to you get to work on all of these races. You work for Bernie Sanders, you work for a bunch of congressional races, but recently you got to return home and work on a congressional race in your home area. This is California 22. This is the incumbent David Valadao. And I bring this up because yesterday, our candidate, a guy you've been working with from the beginning, made it to the final two. But to back up, Randy Vieques is his name. And Randy was not endorsed by the powers to be in D.C. The powers to be, the power brokers of the party, had endorsed a state rep, or she a state senator?
State senator.
A state senator from the area over Randy to be the Democratic person to take on Valadao. Well, Randy, along with lots of other folks, Luis was lead for us, took on those power brokers and shocked the world and got to the final two with David Valadao, and it was released last night. Now, again, let me give you a little context, and then I'm going to ask Luis how it actually happened. But the Central Valley District of California, California 22, David Valadao's been there for a long time. He lost one race, but other than that, he's been there. And this is one of the poorest, most Latino areas of the nation, not just California. It's the only marginal congressional district with the highest group of non-college educated workers in the nation. It's got a gigantic Latino population. The Central Valley, some people call it the breadbasket of the country, where all your food comes from. There's also lots and lots of dairy farms. I can tell you several funny stories about me and Luis being there about these dairy farms, but it's poor, rural, and Latino. Luis, how in the hell did you beat a well-funded state senator to get this working-class Latino guy named Randy elected to the final two?
Definitely, Chuck, and super excited. He was here doing some trainings with the D Trip and other groups, and I got to meet him and get to see him yesterday. So we were super celebrating this amazing win. But I think it goes back to who he is and the work and ethic that he's been able to put. And in addition to that, I think we have met and talked and worked for many candidates who have great intentions, great stories, but for some reason or another, running for office is hard. It's not an easy thing. But he was able to put the work together, the work ethic, in addition to several other factors to be able to be in place. But from day one, the day that I met him at these Mexican restaurants where he was letting me know about his interest of running for office, I got a sense that he was a serious candidate and he really wanted to have that. In addition to that, he was telling me about the different issues that he was seeing. He's a professor. He's a mechanic shop owner. Yeah, son of parents immigrants who immigrated from Mexico, in many different aspects. And he understood the district very well, but he didn't have any political experience other than he'd been an activist and doing a lot of different things. So just to say that he's been doing a fantastic job of calling people, introducing to people, having a presence in the district, being creative, hiring people from the district, in addition to hiring consultants of color and who represents the district, and being able to trust and what we are suggesting, what we're collaborating with him, it's something that is going to have a truly effect in the district. In addition to, like I said, I mean, just knowing the district very well and having the opportunity to do so. We're super excited about the win yesterday, but we know that there is still a long road ahead of us. So we're excited to and looking forward to what's coming up next.
What advice do you have for people that are working on congressional races, that are running in congressional races, that is something that Randy did that was a little different that you think folks could learn from to beat the odds and to overcome such obstacles to get to the final two in a working class district like this?
I think definitely being able to work and do the call time, it's essential. and being able to do it well. Many candidates,
Let me interrupt you. Can you tell folks what call time means for those who don't know?
yeah, just pretty much sitting in a room, identifying a variety of different donors who you can ask them for money, whether it is, hey, your network initially or people you know, and then trying to expand from there. It's sometimes difficult to be able to, you have, I don't know, 200 people that you know, but who else could you be calling? Where else? What other connections you could be having? Who else is going to be able to hear your story and give you money? And how well you're going to be able to persuade them with your story. So that's very important. And Randy has been incredible doing that. So that's one of them. In addition to having
I
a
think it's
presence,
important for you to say that for those of you who don't know, you said it's important for him to do call time. But he had to call a lot of people because Randy can't know that many rich people or folks. He wasn't asking them for millions of dollars. He was asking for a couple $100 maybe.
correct. But I think that was one of the first steps, and I see his work ethic. Not saying that many candidates have that, but that was one of them. Yeah, and then I think he was able to get traction, and it opens the opportunity to be able to call more folks. In addition to that, just having a presence on the ground, I think he was able to be able to go up and down the district, being able to connect with folks. He had already a presence before running that allowed him to be able to know where to go, who to talk to, where are the places that he needed to have an impact. He wasn't shy about, connecting with people and talking about with them. He was in every single one of the forums that he was invited compared to David Valadeo and his other opponent. So I mean, just to tell you that he really wanted to be present there, in addition to everything that was happening, the mailers that we did, the TV ads, the radio ads, and everything else, and every single one of the aspects that were happening there. So it's a combination of different things. I think it starts with the candidate, his willingness to be able to do the work, his work ethic, and the different opportunities that we're able to offer, in addition to being able to connect with different organizations and groups who were able to support him. And sometimes that doesn't come easy for many candidates. And I know that might be different from Randy in this case. Not that it came easier or anything like that, but he worked for it and he was able to get it. And in addition to be able to get some traction on that end.
For those of you who just joined us, this is the California 22nd congressional race. We're talking about Randy Vieques and how he has made it to the final two, overcoming huge obstacles. Our firm worked on it. Luis, here, my business partner, was the lead on it. And they really overcame and proved what was possible. I've been asking about best practices. Randy having connection to the community, Randy being able to raise money. Luis, can you tell me, or do y'all know at this point how much he was outspent by, or maybe y'all outspent?
Yeah, about $2 million we were outspent by this point.
Wait,
So definitely
there was $2 million more spent against you than y'all spent,
correct.
and you won.
And we won.
And so that's crazy. I thought I saw that online, but I thought it was a misprint. So Randy had the backing of Bernie Sanders. He had did AOC endorse him?
Yes.
AOC, Working Families Party. He had a lot of the lefty groups, unions. I know that the Leaders We Deserve did some work, but still being outspent $2 million and making the final two. Let me ask you this question and we'll move on past California 22. But I think it's such a great representation of where we are with our politics because we keep talking about trying to win back working class voters. Well, there's no more district than California 27 that has more working class voters than California 22. We talk about Latinos moving to the left or to the right, all depending. Well, this is a district with working class Latinos. And I think the question is, it's a complex district because, correct me if I'm wrong, Luis, you don't have a centralized media market like Los Angeles. It's spread over several media markets. Then because it's not just one media market, you have to buy several. And then on top of that, you have people consuming in two different languages, English and Spanish. And then you have a growing group of young people there who aren't watching TV, but old folks who are voting. Did I misinterpret any of that, or was that right?
No, there's two media markets, the Bakersfield media market and the Fresno media market. In addition to that, shows so spread out. It's a rural district. It's not like you can focus. Yes, there is Bakersfield, Fresno areas where you can focus much of your canvassing, but there's other towns and many candidates just don't want to reach out or cannot reach out because of funding. So we wanted to make sure that, hey, we were reaching out to them as well, whether it was with TV, radio, and other means of communication. In addition to that, I think you mentioned it, Chuck, just the message and he was able to share with a lot of people, uh, of people left behind, people feeling like nothing was happening with the current member of Congress and where we are with our current president and where the different circumstances on how they were feeling and the lack of attention that they have not received, as well as the cuts to Medicare. It's one of the districts with the most amount of people under medical Medicare. And so it was very, very important to be able to speak directly about that, in addition to many other issues, and connect with people and not to overcomplicate it, because that's another thing. Then sometimes we're not able to connect with voters because we just try to do too much and we say a lot, and but we don't mean much on that end.
Let's talk about the larger narrative here of the Latino vote. You and your team are working on Latino races from Florida to Texas to California. And there was this big shift to the right during Donald Trump, with Latinos moving to be more Republican, or at least voting for Donald Trump, whether they became more Republican, air quotes, or not. Uh, and tell me what you're seeing with those voters as we move into the midterms. Do you see that same pattern, or do you see people starting to move back? And why do you think that's happening?
We've seen people starting to move back, and why is happening? I think it's a variation of different things. I mean, and the economy being number one, right? The fact that people are paying much more for their groceries, their gas, the cost of living, and doesn't matter how much you work, whether it is one, two jobs, it's just like it's getting more and more expensive. Especially they're feeling it a lot with the groceries and the cost of gas. And they're feeling like, hey, some of them who voted for Donald Trump, it's like, hey, I voted for him, hoping that things were going to get better for me, and I don't see the difference. So continue to see the movement. And I think we've been seeing a lot of polls that indicate like, hey, and we have seen it, we have heard it before. The Latinos are not just one party or another. It depends on the issues and how they feel about it, like many other voting blocks. So that's something that we've been able to see here. I think we saw it last time in New Jersey, Miami, the city of Miami. Then they elected a Democratic mayor in other places. Then continue to give us signs of it, as well as the previous elections that we are seeing right now.
And in a working class district like California 22 that you just got through working in, you see the same issue there as these Texas races, or I know you were just in a big candidate retreat in Florida. Is some of these issues, I know we talk about regional competency, but you do see these issues cutting across every state, this overarching affordability narrative.
Definitely, yeah. Especially, I mean, like you said, bring them back to the specifications of the district. But overall, I mean, it's just the economy and how people are feeling in regards to also the healthcare economy, and now what's happening with Iran and how it's affecting the economy here in the United States.
Let me ask you, you lead the media team at Solidarity, the creative team. If there are Latino, or it don't have to be Latino, if there's folks out there running for office, they're thinking about putting together an ad to reach voters. You have make a lot of ads, your team makes a lot of ads. What are some of the do's and don'ts of ad making that, if you could pass along some of your experience to folks that are watching, as very few times do folks get to meet ad makers on these platforms. You literally make ads every day. What are some of the best practices and some of the things to be cautionary about?
I think best practices, we get a lot of information from polls and from other big documents that have a lot of text. And we only have 15, 30 seconds. So what is it that we really want to get across within the time limit? So making sure that we're able to do it, and what makes it a little bit complicated sometimes for us uh, uh, is just the ability to be able to take that content, m- m- take it and make it really small for those 30, 15 seconds. And in addition to that, translating it or making it sense in Spanish. So making sure that you're communicating, that you're taking the content, making simplify and making sure that you're communicating with them, and the content that you're going to be putting out makes sense. Making sure that you're reaching out to Latinos in English and Spanish. making sure that you're utilizing all the means of communications possible. Sometimes that's not possible because of budgets or anything else. But we like to say here that a multi-layer approach is the best way to do that. We know that younger Latinos where they are, older Latinos where they are, and how we can best communicate with them. And then lastly, I will say then the visuals. The visuals go a long way, as well as the voiceover where we are. In many cases, we have seen that people have used uh, footage from not even the district or doesn't represent anything from the district. So that's, I mean, people know that they're very smart and they will be able to recognize that. But if you're able to put the local store, the hospital, the school, then it's connects with the district and is able to have that impact as well. If you're able to find validators or people from the community who can speak directly about their issues, then it's another plus in regards to how you are able to reach out to people. So I will say then doing not doing that is what is negative, and we continue to see that, or translating it or missing some of those parts is what makes it not appealing to many voters.
If somebody was doing a national Spanish language advertising campaign, let's say to sell Coca-Cola, not even a political campaign, and you were going to make an ad and deliver it to Latinos or Hispanics in Miami and do the same thing in Los Angeles, can you explain to folks how that ad would sound different?
Definitely. I mean, we know that the diversity that exists in Miami from people from Cuba, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Mexicans as well. But just making sure that we're reaching out and we're selecting the voiceover that best aligns with the demographic from that specific area. Very different in LA, right, where the vast majority of Latinos are Mexican. So how are you going to be able to utilize, like I said, the voiceover, the visuals, and what is it that you're going to be able to communicate with them? In addition, what are some of the programming that people are watching? And we can be able to identify, advertise, and put some money behind it to be able to be effective in that way. And if is there other means of communications? I was talking to someone and then they said, hey, WhatsApp is such a strong means of communications for the Latino community. And you see none or very few campaigns taking advantage of that. It's a difficult way to communicate, and I understand that, but it is one of the resources, especially and everywhere. I will say it doesn't matter what kind of Latino you are, then you can be able to utilize that to be able to communicate with a good swath of the population.
The last question on tactics, we don't want to give all of our secrets away. If that if an advertiser, if a client came to you and said, you've got $50,000, you need to reach Latinos under the age of 50 in this in this geographical area, but you can only use one platform to advertise to them, what would you choose?
I mean, it will definitely be digital. And if I could only choose one platform, I would say YouTube will be one of the ways that I will suggest to do it. There is even other ways, but I think that will be the top one.
And do you pick that because YouTube is such a strong place to advertise to reach Latinos?
It is definitely a place where many Latinos, even some of them that are not cutting their core and watching it, whether it is on their TV and watching YouTube on their TV or on their phone or their computer or laptop, whatever that might be, it is one of the main ways that we're consuming information, Latinos. And I can speak directly about it. I don't have a TV at home, and much of my information that I consume is in my computer, and many of them is on YouTube.
For those of you watching at home, it's really important to understand what Luis is describing is cultural competency. He understands the culture because he's a Mexican immigrant who now has got his U.S. citizenship. He has moved from one of the poorest areas in America, who lives in D.C. now and runs solidarity strategies with me, of understanding the electorate. This is the piece that politicians miss a lot of times because there's nobody there from the community who understands what the community is doing. They can read it off of a spreadsheet. They think they've got it all figured out. But it's more than a spreadsheet. It's about cultural competency through a multi-layered device that he talked about to have a message and tell a story that'll resonate with the community. That's why Luis has been a success. That's why Randy Vieques made it to the final two, is this matters. it matters even more now around the margins with the fluctuation of ways that Latinos are voting, a little bit right, a little bit left, more Democratic, more Republican. So they're a true marginal swing universe. A lot of people have seen that. I've called the Latino voters the new soccer moms because they should be somebody you're spending a lot of time and money to get on. Luis, I try to keep these to a half hour so folks aren't stuck here. The next few questions are fun questions. Uh, not that you're a nerd. You probably thought all that other shit was fun too. But me and you, as we become friends and really good friends and running this firm together with Daisy, you've been able to go on what we call some living La Vida Rocha adventures around the world chasing fish on the bow of a boat. Now, Luis didn't grow up fishing. He knew nothing about fishing, but I have indoctrinated him into my conservation minded exploration adventures around the world. Luis and me have went to Mexico and caught marlin. We've been to Louisiana and caught redfish. We've been to the Keys and caught bonefish. We've been to Puerto Rico and caught tarpon. I need to know, Luis, which of the trips we've been on will be the one that you will remember the most to date, knowing that we're going to Belize in 3 weeks with some clients.
I will say, Chuck, then the trip that I have enjoyed the most and I have the best memories will be going to Baja California and going fishing for marlin. It was an epic trip that I will never forget. And just what we were able to see and do and catch and fish was just amazing. It was a lot of work. It definitely was a workout, like fighting a battle almost. We had scars to remember and everything else, but it was just such an amazing trip.
For those of you wondering what that means is we had fly rods, we were in tiny boats, and we were chasing striped marlin in the Pacific Ocean, catching them and then geotagging them with the Billfish Foundation to track the migration patterns of these striped marlins so that we could protect them. We weren't killing any fish, but we were catching them with a little bitty hook on a little bitty fly so that we didn't have very little impact to make sure that we could preserve these fish for long term. And me and Louise had a ball and have all the bruises from that trip that will remind us of all the fun that we had. The last two questions are always the same with my people who've come here to do some Rocha Revolution with me, which is your go-to meal, Louise, growing up, your mama made, she didn't make, your aunts made, whoever, of the meal that you always considered to be your favorite and the one you look forward to the most.
I love enchiladas. I love green enchiladas with cheese. I ask my mom to make them often, so that's something that I enjoy. I don't eat them here very often, but every time I see her and I spend time with her, I love eating them.
And the next, and you'll get this because you're a sports freak like me, is I need to know what would be your walk-up song as you come up to bat, the one that pumps you up, the one that gets you going, the one that when you're walking up to home plate to take your bat, it's your walk-up song like you see them play at the Nationals.
Oh, jeez.
See?
Lately will be something about Bud Bunny because I've been listening to it more constantly. So anything related to him that really has any energy will be something that I will suggest. It changes every month, I will say, but lately that has been something that I've been listening to.
Luis, thanks for joining the Rocha Revolution today. For those of you tuning in, you can go to solidaritystrategies.com. You can see some of Luis's work. You can see some of the work that we've been doing. Next week, we'll probably get back to doing candidates, but we're going to have Luis back from time to time to give us updates on races around the country. Thank you all for being here. Y'all have a good day. And Luis, I'll see you at work tomorrow.
See you. Thank you.